And then you can see, yet again, I'm here to talk more about the business side, and then Joona will show the code part. So showing relevant content will have more impact on your conversion. Why is it difficult, and what we are trying to achieve? Because I don't know, have you guys been using this kind of A/B testing tools or softwares that are injecting code to the site through JavaScript? You know these? Usually we are guilty as well. We do it this way, usually, or used to do it this way. So manipulating DOM from outside. So basically you have your, for example, your React application. And then through this JavaScript, you are trying to change how the application is behaving. Okay, developers, most likely you guys don't like this, because you have no idea what's going on the website anymore, or in your application. And this kind of thing is nice because you can do like simple, quick tests with it. But personalization is not really something that is just you want to test a bit. It is becoming a permanent part of your application and your software. So you shouldn't do it with this kind of hacky tools that are manipulating what you are doing from the outside. And then I like calling these CMS and code repository as homes. So you have a home for your content, that is your CMS. You have a home for your code, that is in your code repository. The code and content should not be in these tools. If you want to do personalization, you should only have the rules that are defining which code goes with which content. And I was actually talking about this half a year ago in our previous meetup. I guess you can find the video from somewhere on Contentful site. And how we want to solve this is that we want to complement this kind of single page application environment with smooth personalization and segmentation by providing the rule engine on top of it. How it works is that you have your React component, so the presentation. Then, before you render it, you have Frosmo here. Frosmo is defining that what's the business logic behind who should see this component. And then you can give other parameters to it through Frosmo. And then we query the content from Contentful. So you can also define which content from Contentful should be given to this React component. By default, you usually map one code and one content together. But now you have the option to have, let's say, 20 different contents that are matching this component. And then you just define in Frosmo that which one of those should go to which audience. And then it's all rendered on the website. Joona will show this later in code. Simple illustration. So you have your React application. Then you have your Contentful content in there. Where Frosmo sits is that each of your React components you can wrap with this kind of Frosmo placement component, and that then receives those rules whether it should be shown or not, and which content we should query from Contentful. The workflow. You tag your content in Contentful. I can do it without being a developer. Then I track data and create segments. So I start understanding the visitor behavior, track information of the visitors from the website, create audiences, and then Joona, as a developer, would then define these placement components to his React application. And then us together, or myself, I could start doing personalization, analyzing what has been going on, and then optimizing content for different audiences in Frosmo. I'll briefly show you the parts 1 and 2, and then Joona can jump into the actual solution. Can you help me with the PC? How should I get to the other window? Thanks. So here I have two contents as my React hero block. So one is this Pluto. So I have very basic content here, and then I have now defined this kind of Frosmo tag. So this is just for you to understand that, okay, we need to have a unique identifier for the content to match it with the audience as well. So now I'm using just a unique field where I have defined Pluto. And then if I go to Frosmo, I have created few segments where I have defined that, okay, I want to track into my segment all the visitors who have visited a page where the path is products/Pluto. And another one with something that contains sky. Can I, Joona, show our application quickly? Is it this one?
No.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a very dummy React site where I have now my default unpersonalized content. I'll match the rule of viewing that products Pluto and go back to our front page. So now I get my personalized content coming from Contentful. And without this DOM manipulation, I'm just rather passing the parameters as that I want to get the React hero block content type with the Frosmo tag being Pluto and show it to audience who have visited this particular page. But now I'll hand it over to you so you can continue from here to show the real stuff.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna demonstrate this, so I'm gonna put the mic down and just say if you cannot hear what I'm talking. Okay, so Riikka demonstrated the demo site. So basically our scenario will be as discussed, and basically we are gonna set up the Frosmo functionality by wrapping it this with Frosmo placement. So basically I'm gonna go through this scenario. So we have the React application, and we are gonna add this Frosmo placement component to it. And what actually happens when we kick off the application, when the Frosmo placement is mounted to the React VDOM, this React placement will start, we run the Frosmo rule engine and make the appropriate request to Frosmo's APIs. In third place, when we get the response from Frosmo's APIs, this Frosmo placement will feed all the parameters and this kind of like a Frosmo handle object to the wrapped component, which we will call a Frosmo Contentful tag wrapper. And in third phase, this and then this Frosmo Contentful wrapper will be the Frosmo. Contentful data accessor, so it will make appropriate requests to Contentful APIs, and then it will feed parameters as a properties to the wrapped component, and we call it slide, since this carousel component consists of slides. Okay, and basically we have implemented this Frosmo React library as an NPM package. Currently it's published in GitHub. It's called Frosmo React, and we are planning to publish this to public NPM registry. And since NPM has quite deep relations, I put this installation. You can just copy paste these installation, and by the way, I think all of you know that you can actually install npm components directly from Git repos. Okay, it starts installations. Okay, that was fast. So let's have a look at our application. So if I go briefly through our application structure. So this is the demo application. It's bootstrapped with using Create React app, which quite nicely illustrates how applications work. And there is this application JSON will be responsible of rendering our application. And basically there is this component called navigation. By the way, can you see what's in the board? And let's have a look at the navigation. There's a React router in place, and we have the responsive navigation here with the React router links to different pages, and then we match routes, and our default route to the home page or the landing page will be handled by the component called home. Or practically it's this, there's this wrapper component, but our front page is called home. And here we have our slide components, which is responsible of rendering single slide. There is, of course, it needs to be the active one is the one that will be shown first. Then there is this background image, which in our case, our demo case, is empty for the default slides, and there's the title, body, and then some kind of CTA with the link and text. And okay, we installed our Frosmo React component. Let's set up the bones. So import Frosmo placement from Frosmo React, and our task is to set up the first slide, like the first one which gets the most attention when new visitor will be coming to site. And yes, that's easy. Next thing is to bind our presentation, this Frosmo placement, to this rule engine, and it happens. I'm gonna show. We're gonna have in Frosmo control panel. We're gonna have a list of placements, and we call our placement React Hero, since this is some kind of hero unit. And this target element is the one that we're gonna use as the binding factor, as the placement identifier. So it's easy to, as a developer, you probably talk about these identifiers with the e-commerce manager or the one who will be mainly using this Frosmo control panel. And of course, since Frosmo is gonna make some API calls in order to decide which content to show, and of course there will be rule engine activity and evaluations happening in the server side as well. Before we get anything from the server, we're gonna set up some default content that will be shown before we have anything, if we have anything at all. So for some audiences there might not be any interesting content. So I'm gonna define default slide, and let's call this okay. So let's wrap our initial slide as inside the component default slide, and tell our Frosmo placement that hey, this is something that you render whatever happens. Also in server-side rendering scenarios, the server-side rendered to DOM string render or React DOM server side toString method will use this default component. So whatever comes from the server, there will be always something sensible to show. Okay, and basically we are done. Let's start the application and see what happens. Okay, so this will be in a development environment, and cool, it's there. And what's there? Nothing. And we have nothing except the default since there's no presentation for our component. So next we're gonna plug in the Contentful content, and for this one I have prepared a simple wrapper, just an object that will connect the content. So we have the nice Contentful client library. We are initialize the Contentful client, and we call this component Contentful Frosmo tag wrapper. So we are gonna use a property called Frosmo tag as a key or identifier to the content in Contentful that we're interested in. So basically when we mount this one, we're gonna check the properties content type and Frosmo tag and fetch whatever content is gonna be found from Contentful. And then we're gonna feed, when we get the response, we're gonna feed this forward to the element that is wrapped with inside this content Frosmo tag wrapper. And basically what it means in Frosmo control panel, let's look at the like these rule engines. We call them modifications, and this rule engine will be these are like the outcomes of the evaluation, whatever happens. And as a developer, I'm not that interested in how these rules are defined, but instead I'm interested about the parameters that I'm gonna get. So in Frosmo we define that the content of this React hero Pluto, just give the parameters when the user matching to this audience give Frosmo tag Pluto and React hero block, and these are the ones that are fed to the wrapper component. So let's put so it was Contentful Frosmo tag wrapper. And when our Contentful wrapper will make the calls to Contentful API, and whatever comes back, we're gonna feed them to our presentation component. It's called slide. It's the slide component that will be used. Let's put this to active state, since it's gonna be the one that we want to show first. Okay, and that's about it. There's a nice little stack: Frosmo, Contentful, and then of course the React application. Okay, that was already compiled. Maybe I take a refresh. And let's see. Let's try to repeat. We go to this Pluto page and we navigate through this site, and at some point we get back to the front page, and yes, the personalization is in place. Did we have any other rules?
Yeah, I created another one for the sky.
Ah, yes. So whenever sky, keyword sky is gonna appear in the URL, like here, product sky is the limit. Oh, we go back to home, and there we have. So basically, just import Frosmo React component to your project, include the Frosmo placement, and then just wrap the component of under personalization rules inside the Frosmo placement, and you're set.
Ciao.
Any questions? So basically, in a developer's point of view, this is that simple, and you're never gonna get any tedious, like a daily changing requirements that, hey, afternoon after 5 o'clock, can you please change the hero unit image to something that you can put this thing in place and say your editors and e-commerce managers that please go and do it yourself. I'm going home.
Yep.
So basically that would be my job to then
yeah.
time it with Frosmo, so that I would define that, okay, it will start on Friday at 5 p.m.
But you go home as well.
Yeah, but I can put it, like time it so that it starts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How is the data from the Contentful tag wrapper actually being passed to slide?
Yes, good question. It's happening through this very generic. So when the state.
Okay.
So basically, I'm using this React fragment not to create any unnecessary DOM nodes, and then we have this children API that basically this is gonna get whatever React has rendered or React elements, whatever React elements are there. And yes, we need to remember to use this React create element in order to make these.
And as far as I remember correctly, the Frosmo placement also does pretty much the same thing. It like copies the props to each children.
Yes.
Whenever
Yes, it uses. Yeah,
it's
it
pretty
does.
much the same code. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, but yes, when you dig deeper into React internals, you can use it in very many ways.
Do you have any like improvement ideas for the future for this component?
Of course, we are gonna add this initial load support. So you probably, in some cases, you want to show something before do the load time, like a spinner, and when you get a result or you don't get in, we get to this success component or then or this personalized component or fallback component. Also some little like a display name which helps you do this Frosmo placement component to integrate with the developer tools there are on the roadmap. Of course, we want to bootstrap this server-side rendering in under heavy load, and we're gonna build a demo for that one. Also, I would say that we want to build some kind of presentation of this load time animation. So as you can see, when I reload, it's not the long time. These Frosmo APIs work pretty quickly. On average, they respond under 10 milliseconds or something. But still, there is this little flickering. So we would like to present a proper way of using this, since in many applications it's probably not nice to provide this kind of small flickering to users.
Bit off topic, but where does Frosmo have servers? If you're doing this on some African country, what would you get if you only have servers in Finland? Do you have somewhere else?
It's served over AWS.
Okay. So pretty much everywhere.
CDN, yeah, you can point CDN. Yeah.
Cool.
And are our APIs also in AWS? In European?
Lucky can answer.
Yeah, we have servers in Finland and Germany, and Asia and USA.
Okay. Sounds good.
But this Africa is pretty wild.
Yeah.
As soon as Amazon will open data center in Africa, we are gonna be there.
Was that a promise?
probably not going to be too big of a hassle if you
Yeah, yeah.
do it because you already have it everywhere else.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can wrap it up. Do you want to go back to the presentation? Yeah, and then jump to the next. So if you're interested, you can visit. There is a page on our website, Frosmo with React. So it kind of compiles all this info that we were presenting. So, thanks.
And if you want to try out Frosmo platform, this Timo guy here is the guy to contact, and he can arrange you a demo and trial. Absolutely.
I would say that as a developer, when you feel that you are getting too strange marketing related feature requests, that might be the signal that hey, okay, now our organization is in the step that we really need to put proper marketing and personalization tools, and Timo is the guy to contact.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.